The phone rang at 8:42 p.m. Karen almost silenced it.
Karen, they locked your dad in a memory care unit. Brenda's selling the house.
What? Number? That's not possible.
The text Sandra had just sent blazed on the screen. Donald locked in memory. Ward Brenda selling house.
I saw the listing. He's been there over a week. The facility confirmed it. Go get him.
Karen's blood turned cold. She hadn't spoken to Donald in 3 years, but she knew his mind was sharper than hers.
He'd never sign himself into a care home.
She ended the call and dialed Brenda. Voicemail. She didn't bother with a message. She grabbed her coat and drove. The facility was 18 minutes across town. Every red light made her stomach clench. She pulled into the Willow Springs lot. The building's locked entrance mocked her. She marched toward the door, certain she could demand his release. She didn't know Brenda had erased her from every record. The automatic doors parted. The antiseptic air hit her like a warning.
I am here to see Donald Walsh. He's my father.
And you are? I'll need to check your ID against our approved visitor list.
Karen Walsh. I am his daughter. Just look up his room number.
His spouse, Brenda Walsh, is the emergency contact. There's a note. No visitors except by her permission.
Brenda locked everyone out the day she put him in here.
Through a small wired window, she saw a sign. Memory Care Wing. A nurse swiped a badge to enter.
He doesn't belong in there. He's not demented. You have to let me see him.
Ma'am, if you cause a disturbance, I'll call security. Please leave.
Karen's legs carried her back to the car. She sat trembling, then pulled up her phone and scrolled to an old contact. Dr. Catherine Walsh, family physician. It was past 10 when Karen's call connected. She didn't apologize for the hour.
Dr. Walsh, it's Karen. My father has been placed in a locked memory unit against his will. I need your help.
That can't be right. I examined him 6 weeks ago. His cognition was entirely normal. Come to my office first thing.
At 7:30 the next morning, Karen stood in Dr. Catherine's practice while the doctor unlocked a file cabinet.
Here, my last note. Patient is alert, oriented, memory intact, no cognitive deficits, mild arthritis only.
And you never referred him to a neurologist? No memory care evaluation at all?
Nothing. I was never consulted. Look at this admission note they used. My signature is forged.
The falsified note described Donald as severely cognitively impaired, a danger to himself. All lies.
I am going to write a formal capacity assertion, and I am coming with you to that facility. We leave in an hour.
For the first time since Sandra's call, Karen felt something other than panic. She had a weapon now, and a witness. Dr. Catherine called a neurologist who had seen Donald months earlier. The fax machine hummed.
Here is his report. No cognitive decline. Continues to function with full capacity and independence.
Karen's phone lit up with a forwarded listing from Sandra. $620K paid off home, under agreement. The address was Donald's.
She's already selling it. The house will be gone by the end of the week.
That's the motive. Financial exploitation on top of illegal confinement. We have more than enough to break this open.
Dr. Catherine slid the neurologist's report into a folder alongside her own assertion and the forged admission note.
One folder. Everything wrong Brenda did to him. Everything right about his mind.
They rehearsed the approach in the car. Dr. Catherine would lead with medical authority. Karen would present the listing as proof of abuse. The morning sun glinted off the facility's glass entrance as they pulled into the lot Karen had left defeated hours before. This time, Karen wasn't alone. The folder sat heavy in her lap, full of the truth Brenda couldn't silence. They walked in side by side, Dr. Catherine's white coat a shield against the usual questions.
Ma'am, I told you.
I'm Dr. Walsh. We have an urgent patient safety meeting with Director Margaret. No need to announce us.
The receptionist hesitated, eyes flicking to the ID badge. Then the folder. She reached for the phone.
Directly. Please. This concerns a resident's immediate welfare.
Don't call Brenda. Don't call security. Just let us through.
The receptionist's hand hovered, then fell. She buzzed the inner door. They stepped into the quiet corridor. A nurse glanced up, curiosity sharpening her gaze. Karen's heels clicked past numbered doors until they reached the one marked Director. Dr. Catherine adjusted her grip on the file. Karen raised her hand to knock. Inside the folder were years of silence and one stolen old man. She knocked. The door opened to a woman in a charcoal suit, glasses on a chain. Margaret looked at them like an intrusion.
Director Margaret, I am Dr. Catherine Walsh. This concerns Donald Walsh, your resident in the secured wing.
I was not aware of any appointment. What is the nature of this?
I have documentation that Mr. Walsh is cognitively intact, as of 3 months ago. He should never have been placed in memory care.
And his wife is selling his home right now. The timing isn't a coincidence.
Margaret's eyes moved between the reports, her professional mask thinning. She placed the falsified note beside the neurologist's letter.
This admission note bears a forged signature. My own. I never authorized any transfer.
This is highly irregular. The admitting physician isn't in our system.
The forgery was obvious. Different font, wrong letterhead. Margaret's jaw tightened.
I need to verify this with our legal team. Please wait here.
For 15 minutes, the only sound was the muffled rise and fall of Margaret's voice through the closed office door.
If she calls Brenda, we're done. Brenda will move him before we can get a court order.
She won't. That forgery puts the facility at legal risk. She'll protect the institution first.
Margaret returned, her expression tightly controlled, but the tension drained from her shoulders.
Our legal team has reviewed the documents. Mr. Walsh's admission was based on falsified records. He is free to leave immediately.
Thank you. Can I see him now?
Margaret slid a plastic keycard across the desk. This will let you into the memory wing. His room is 204.
3 years of silence, and now this piece of plastic was the key to everything.
We'll accompany him out today. I'll ensure his discharge paperwork is completed immediately.
Karen's hand closed around the keycard. She didn't say goodbye. She just turned toward the corridor marked memory care and started walking. The keycard beeped, and the lock released. Karen pushed the door open. Room 204 was dim, its single bed pressed against the wall. Donald sat on the edge of the mattress, in a thin cardigan, staring at the wall. He looked smaller than she remembered. Karen?
I am here, Dad. I am so sorry. I have proof you are not sick. You are coming home.
Donald's body shook with sobs he'd been swallowing for over a week, alone in a room that smelled of disinfectant and fear.
They kept saying I was confused, but I knew. I knew my own mind. Brenda. She told them I couldn't remember.
She lied. Dr. Catherine is outside. The neurologist's report says you are completely capable. None of this was legal.
She helped him to his feet, his hand gripping her arm as though she might dissolve. A plastic bag of his belongings sat near the bed.
Let's go. We're not staying another minute.
They walked into the corridor together, Donald blinking at the unfiltered fluorescent light. He did not look back. They walked past the reception desk. The same woman who'd turned Karen away froze, phone in hand, jaw slack. Karen didn't stop. She pushed the glass door open. Sunlight hit Donald's face. He raised a hand to shield his eyes. She helped him into the passenger seat. The facility shrank in the rearview mirror as she pulled onto the highway.
Where are we going?
My place. You are staying with me until we figure this out.
The drive took 20 silent minutes. Every few miles, Donald let out a shaky breath, as if testing that the air was still there. She led him inside, sat him on the sofa, and handed him a glass of water. Then she pulled out her phone. She needed an elder law attorney now.
Brenda will know in hours. We need a restraining order and an injunction on that house sale before she moves the money.
She scrolled through legal directories, her hand steady but her heart racing. The fight was just beginning. The name at the top of the directory was William Thorne, elder law specialist. Karen called and held her breath.
My stepmother locked my dad in a memory unit with a forged doctor's note. His house is under contract. I need an emergency injunction.
You have a solid case. Email me the forged note and the neurologist's report. I'll file a petition tonight.
Within minutes, the documents were on their way. Karen's hands shook as she hit send. Simultaneously, Margaret's call reached Brenda's immaculate living room.
How dare you release him without my consent? You violated my rights as his spouse and health proxy.
Mrs. Walsh, the primary physician's signature was forged. That voids any authority you had under the admission agreement.
I'll have your license. That doctor is lying. My husband is sick, and that daughter brainwashed him.
Margaret's reply was ice cold. The facility will cooperate with any investigation. Goodbye, Mrs. Walsh. Back in Karen's apartment, William called to confirm the petition was filed. The restraining order against Brenda would be served by morning. At 7:15 a.m., pounding shook Karen's front door. It was not a polite knock.
Open this door. You thieving brat. You can't steal my husband.
William said document everything. She swiped to record. Go away, Brenda. I have an attorney. A restraining order is being served today.
You'll regret this. I'll have him back in a cage by next week.
In the back room, Donald sat rigid on the guest bed, hands trembling. The thin walls carried every word.
The forged note is already with the police. Every threat you make is being recorded.
This isn't over. You've made the biggest mistake of your life.
Heels clacked down the hallway. Karen stood against the door until silence returned. When she finally went to Donald, he whispered, "She won't stop. Neither will I," Karen said. William worked through the night. By noon the next day, he stood before a judge with the emergency petition.
Your Honor, this petition seeks an emergency TRO to halt the sale of a property being liquidated through fraudulently obtained confinement.
He presented the forged admission note, the neurologist's capacity report, and the pending real estate contract. The judge reviewed them, her expression shifting from neutrality to concern. The order was stamped within the hour. Motion granted. Sale of property enjoined pending final hearing. The real estate agent was notified. The under agreement banner vanished from the online listing. Donald's house was frozen, untouchable for now.
One breath. But this is just the first battle. We still have to prove he never belonged there.
Later that day, she sat beside Donald in her living room and told him the news. He listened, his hands still trembling from the morning's confrontation.
But the house, my name is still on it. She can't sell it out from under me.
Not with this order. The tarot blocks any transaction. We'll fight to make it permanent and get your name back on the deed alone.
Donald let out a breath he'd been holding for days. For the first time since walking out of that facility, he believed he might actually get his life back. The morning the TRO hit, Brenda's phone lit up with an alert from the title company. A judge had frozen the sale. She threw her coffee cup across the room.
Those idiots think a piece of paper stops me? I'll drain the joint accounts before they can blink.
She logged into the brokerage account and attempted a $45,000 transfer. The screen flashed. Account restricted, legal hold. William had flagged the accounts with the bank the night before, attaching the forgery evidence and the TRO.
They've locked the money. If the police start digging, I am not going to prison for that old fool.
Simultaneously, Karen sat in William's office, dictating a formal criminal complaint for elder abuse and unlawful confinement.
I have the recording of her threats at my door. She admitted to everything. File it now before she runs.
3 hours later, Brenda threw a passport and stacks of cash into a suitcase. Her Mercedes idled in the driveway.
I'll be back when this blows over. They'll forget. Old people die. Then the house is mine.
By evening, the house was dark, the garage empty. She'd vanished from every known address. Weeks passed. The guest room became a sanctuary. Karen brought him tea. He slept through the night for the first time in a month. A therapist visited twice weekly. At first, Donald sat mute. Gradually, he described the isolation, the forced pills, the lies Brenda told the staff.
She told them I was violent. They believed her.
William says the forensic audit is damning. Your house will be yours again.
Each evening, they cooked meals. Karen showed him photos he'd never seen. Her apartment, her friends, the life Brenda barred him from.
The civil case is filed. Criminally, she's a fugitive, using cash, off-grid, but no one can run forever.
He can't fully heal until she's caught. Every phone ring makes him flinch.
Then, one Tuesday, Donald laughed. A dry, startled sound, when Karen burned the toast. She nearly cried.
I'd forgotten what happiness felt like.
William's update arrived. The permanent hearing was 3 weeks away. Brenda remained a ghost, but the trial would proceed without her. 3 weeks later, the final hearing lasted 20 minutes. The judge reviewed the forged note one last time and ruled. The order was clear. Title to 341 Maple Street restored solely to Donald Walsh. Respondent Brenda Walsh's name struck from deed. William called as they left the courthouse. It's permanent. The house is yours alone.
Dad, we won. Your home is safe.
I want to see it.
The drive to his street was quiet. The for sale sign still stood in the yard, a relic of the fraud. He fumbled with the key, a key he'd carried for 40 years. The lock clicked.
It still smells like her perfume.
He walked through each room, touching the walls. In the living room, he stopped and took the deed from Karen's hand.
It's still mine. She didn't take everything.
A month later, nearly 1,000 miles away, a motel in Nevada, Brenda had been paying cash for a room under a fake name. The state attorney general's office had tracked a credit card skim at a fast food joint 10 miles down the road.
You can't do this. I need my lawyer.
The warrant was for felony elder abuse and unlawful confinement. They cuffed her on the walkway, her platinum hair matted, her face pale. Karen's phone rang at 4:12 p.m. The caller ID said, Nevada State Police. She nearly dropped it.
You got her? She's in custody?
She slumped against the kitchen counter, hand over her mouth. Donald, hearing her cry, hurried in.
Is it over?
She's behind bars. They caught her in Nevada. She can't hurt you again.
Donald's shoulders dropped. He looked suddenly older. Then he nodded, once, as if closing a chapter he'd never wanted to open. Weeks passed. Behind bars, Brenda's attorney opened negotiations. The evidence was a fortress she couldn't scale.
Brenda's willing to plead guilty to attempted theft and unlawful imprisonment. The prosecution wants full restitution and a prison term.
What's the range? And no trial at all?
2 to 5 years, plus restitution. If she pleads, Donald never has to testify. I think he's earned that peace.
Dad would crumble on the stand. This lets him stay whole. Dad, Brenda's offering a guilty plea. You'd never see a courtroom.
Good. I don't want to see her face again.
3 days later, the plea was entered. Brenda stood before the judge, voice flat, and admitted guilt.
Sentencing is set for next Friday. She's in custody until then. The deal requires her to pay back every cent.
That night, Karen marked the date on the kitchen calendar. 1 more week, and the last loose end would be tied. The courtroom smelled of old wood and finality. Brenda stood in an orange jumpsuit, her platinum hair dull under the fluorescence. The judge read from the docket. For unlawful confinement and attempted theft, 4 years in state prison. Full restitution of all legal fees and the equity you attempted to drain. The gavel fell. The same instant, the divorce decree was stamped final. Brenda no longer had any claim on the house, on Donald, on anything. Donald's hand found Karen's. For the first time since she'd walked into that facility, he smiled. It was small, but it was real.
It's done. All of it.
Brenda was led away. Her defiance evaporated into a dull stare. The bailiff took her arm, and she didn't look back. Outside, the spring sun hit them. Karen held the court order, the ink still fresh. Donald lifted his face to the light.
I never thought I'd see this day.
The restitution will be garnished from any assets she still has, and she'll never control your affairs again.
They walked to the car, not as a patient and advocate, but as a father and daughter, free of the shadow that had almost swallowed them. By midsummer, the house on Maple Street was breathing again. Donald opened a box of old surveying tools. The brass compass still gleamed.
I haven't used these in 7 years. Brenda said they were junk.
They'll still find true north, just like you.
They replaced the locks, aired out the guest room, and took down the last photograph Brenda had left. Karen came every Sunday. They'd eat on the porch, watching the rose bushes Donald had resurrected from neglect.
I'd forgotten how much I missed dirt under my nails.
The house no longer smelled of Brenda's perfume. It smelled of coffee, soil, and varnish from the surveyor's tools. Donald began to look less like a man who'd been locked away and more like the father she'd lost for 3 years. He never remarried. He never needed to. The quiet life he reclaimed was enough. 9 years passed in a rhythm of seasons. Donald's garden exploded with color each spring, and Karen's children learned to kneel beside him, pulling weeds with small, serious hands. His hair turned snow-white, but his memory never faltered. A part-time nurse visited twice weekly. He remained the master of his own house. On his 80th birthday, the little house on Maple Street brimmed with laughter. Karen lifted a cake, the candles flickering in his gentle eyes.
Blow them out, and don't tell us your wish.
I don't need wishes anymore. I already have more than I ever lost.
After the children were tucked into sleeping bags in the den, Donald and Karen slipped onto the porch. The night was cool, and the stars were coming out.
You came back when no one else did. I'd been marking time, waiting to die, and then my daughter kicked down the door.
I almost left it too late. The guilt still sits with me.
Number. You came exactly on time.
He reached for her hand. In the quiet, the crickets sang. The house that had nearly been stolen stood solid behind them, full of family, full of him. A few months after his 80th, Donald passed in his sleep. Karen returned to the house one last time, the key heavy in her hand. She didn't need to rush. There were no predators now, no ticking clocks. Just the quiet creak of floorboards she'd grown up on. In his nightstand drawer, beneath a folded sweater and an old watch, she found it. A manila folder, edges soft with handling. She opened it. Dr. Catherine's capacity letter lay on top, followed by the neurologist's report, the paper that had unlocked his cage.
You kept this all these years. Your proof of sanity.
She remembered the fluorescent corridor, the locked door, and the moment he'd looked up from that bed and said her name. She pressed the folder to her chest. The house was silent, but it wasn't empty. His tools hung in the garage. His coffee cup still sat by the sink. She didn't cry. Not yet. The tears would come when she locked the door for the last time, but for now, in the light of that old home, she held the pages that had given him 9 years of peace, and she was grateful. The camera pulls back through the front window, the woman inside a frame of glass, the files still against her heart. The house on Maple Street never left the family. A child's bicycle still leans against the porch, its basket full of fallen petals. Each spring, his roses climb the trellis, exactly as he trained them. a riot of red that refuses to fade. Some evenings, Karen sits on the porch steps and tells her children about the grandfather who was almost stolen. Sometimes she shows them the folder, the one from the nightstand, the pages that proved his mind. The neurologist's signature loops across the bottom, still sharp after all these years, a permanent record of the truth. She folds it carefully, returns it to the drawer, a relic now, but one that still holds a quiet power. Outside, the mailbox still reads Walsh in faded gold letters. The man who should have been erased wasn't. The daughter who walked into a locked memory care wing with that folder under her arm still visits, still remembers. The story ends not in a courtroom or a prison cell, but here, in the garden where a man planted something that outlived him. In her hands, the report that said intact, and in the soil, the proof that he was.